Free agent season has officially started, and the Cubs have 10 guys that have elected for free agency, but there's some pretty big names around the league that have followed suit. One of those guys is at the top of my wish list, and that's Kyle Schwarber. It's time to bring him back home. We'll get into that, some of the other guys that are available, and Cade Horton, no surprise, named a finalist for the award that he should win, Rookie of the Year. We'll know that on November 10th, but I look for him to win the thing. I don't even think it's going to be close. We'll talk about the other two finalists and more right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. So like, subscribe, thumbs up, talk about the Cardinals, get into free agency, anything you want to right here on the show today. And appreciate all of you guys for hanging as we do on a daily basis. Let's get the show started. Peace, everybody. Mick Gillespie, and you are at the Cubs Baseball channel. Thank you for hanging out on this Cubs free agency day. Right? Well, every team's dealing with the free agents. And the Cubs had 10 elect for free agency. No surprises here at all. It's the way it goes. But Caleb Thielbar, the left-handed pitcher, Drew Pomerantz, I think a lot of us hoping that the Cubs get him back. I mean, after a resurgence to his career, and someone that you're looking at going, man, he turned out to be an asset for the Cubs. Aaron Savali, someone the Cubs picked up late, ended up having a pretty decent season. Tyler Rogers traded for him at the deadline, left-handed pitcher. Ryan Brasher, right-handed reliever. Willie Castro got him in a deal with the Twins. He's like a super utility guy. He's a free agent. Carlos Santana, still not sure why he was even on the roster. Brad Keller had a sensational season. And then Michael Soroka, please no more Soroka. He was picked up at the trade deadline and what was an absolute flop, but I mean, same thing, right? So there's your list of free agents that have elected to be free agents from the Cubs. And then you look around baseball, and there's some pretty good players that have elected free agency. Obviously, Kyle Tucker, free agent. Cubs gave up a ton to get him. Now he's the top free agent on the market, just like we thought. No surprise there. And he's going to be demanding maybe between $400 and $500 or $600 million. We'll see how that goes, right? And look for the Dodgers and the Giants, maybe the Phillies to be involved in that. Bo Bichette, the shortstop from the Blue Jays, is another guy that the Cubs have kind of been, you've heard his name mentioned. I thought he was really good in the postseason. I know the Cubs have Dansby Swanson. They've got him signed for a long time. I don't know if you could trade Swanson. I would in a second to get Bichette. I would love to have him just because he can hit and play defense. Maybe not good, as good defensively as Dansby Swanson, but this is a league where you got to hit. And someone's going to end up with a really good player there. He may just re-sign with the Twins. I mean, with the Blue Jays. But you know what? The Blue Jays had a chance to sign him. They ended up getting a deal with Vlad Guerrero Jr., and he was just amazing in the postseason. So we'll see. Bichette dealt with some injuries, and he's someone who has, in the past, I think, been mentioned with the Cubs, right? Pete Alonso, the polar bear, first baseman, top power hitter. Cubs have a first baseman. So he's a free agent. Not sure what that's going to look like. Cody Bellinger, remember him? Was one of the Cubs a few years ago. He is someone that opted out of his deal with the Yankees. He had a really good season. Alex Bregman, third baseman, top-tier player, opted out. Remember, he signed that deal with the Red Sox last offseason. Cubs were in the mix for him, and he ended up going to Boston. I think the Cubs would love to have a star third baseman, and maybe you would slide Matt Shaw into that utility role. that was occupied by Willie Castro and have both guys. But Bregman knows how to play in the big games. Helped the Red Sox, I thought, have a better season than anybody anticipated. And then there's the guy that I want the Cubs to get. The guy that I think the Cubs need to go all in on. The guy that I think you as an organization should get for a lot of reasons. And that's Kyle Schwarber. He is officially a free agent. And the Phillies have already said that they are going to do everything they can to re-sign Schwarber. He's 32 years old, and it seems like he's going to try to get a 4 or 5 year deal. I don't think that his production is going to wane. I mean, he kind of reminds me of the Jim Thome type of guy, just because he hits for power. I mean, he could have been an average hitter too. And I don't mean average as in like league average. I mean average as in batting champion average. But you get to the big leagues, they want power, and that's what he's produced. He had an MVP caliber season last year, hit 56 home runs. That was the most in the National League. And he's clutch. I mean, look, he's just a clutch player. Plus, he's like the last star from the 2016 Cubs World Series team. You're saying, well, where would we put him? Well, we would put him right in our DH spot. That's where we would put him. The same thing that the Phillies did. And we'd let him lead off and hit a bunch of home runs again as a Cub. He's projected to make around $100 to $150 million over 4 or 5 years, about 25 to 30 a season. I think that is much more palatable for Cubs ownership and the Ricketts family than maybe 400 or 500 million that Tucker's probably going to get. And think about the marketing aspect of Kyle Schwarber. His ability to immediately win over the fan base because of the fact that he is a legend as a member of the Cubs. And it's a business, right? It is a business. Look at the Dodgers. Look at what they've done. They went out and paid Shohei Ohtani and then went out and have dominated the international market. It wasn't just a decision to win baseball games. It was a decision to win dollars, to make money. Kyle Schwarber will help the Cubs make money and win games. The Cubs need a face. Kyle Tucker was a great player, and I think Cubs fans really liked him, but I never felt like Kyle Tucker was the face of the organization. We all knew throughout the entire season that he was just going to try to get out of town and make as much money as possible, and I don't blame him. Schwarber has a special spot in all of our hearts. The Cubs obviously mentioned amongst teams that are potentially interested, the Tigers and obviously the Phillies. I think that he makes so much sense. It rights a wrong that the Cubs didn't, they basically released him, non-tendered him during COVID, and he's turned out to be a potential one-day Hall of Famer. I think he's going to hit 500 home runs. Why not hit those at Wrigley? We want the home runs at Wrigley Field, the friendly confines. Look at my shirt. I want him to hit his foul balls where we're dodging them in Chicago, on the north side, the friendly confines. And I think a lot of you guys feel the same way. So, I know the Cubs haven't been known to go out and spend a ton of money in free agency. This team could be the Toronto Blue Jays next year. They're not going to be the Dodgers because they're not going to spend $1 billion on their payroll, but they could be the Blue Jays. And if the Blue Jays would have been more aggressive in the ninth inning, instead of sitting back, if they would have suicide squeezed, if they would have played like their hair was on fire, they'd have won the World Series. If they would have made the Dodgers make a play, I don't think they would have made it. I would have done whatever it took. And they didn't do that. But they were this close. That close. And the Cubs could be a team that was sitting in the exact same spot 2 years ago as Toronto. Cubs made the playoffs. Blue Jays ran all the way to Game 7 of the World Series. Cubs could do the same thing, but they're going to need some help. Because if they don't get Tucker, and none of us think they're going to sign Tucker, what about a Bregman-Kyle Schwarber combo? How would you like that? I would, because I think Bregman's the other guy that would really fit. Now, I'm not giving up on Matt Shaw. Don't get me wrong. But Shaw, to me, is not a long-term fit at third base. And we'll see what happens. But I like him at second. I like him at short. I like him at third. Maybe some outfield. Let him, because he is super athletic, be a utility guy. But the Cubs, if they don't get Tucker, are going to need some help in some other areas. I'm not saying trade Shaw. I'm just saying, hey, if you got those two guys and then turn Shaw into your Willie Castro. And then the other thing is stop playing to these contracts. If Dansby Swanson's in one of those ruts where he's not hitting, put Shaw in for a couple days. Yeah. If Nico's in a funk, give him some days off for Shaw. That's the advantage of having a really good bench. And so there's a lot of ways to kind of split this, but we'll see how the Cubs are aggressive. And I know a lot of you guys, and get in the comment section, tell me what you think. A lot of you guys don't expect the Cubs to do anything. A couple mid-market type guys. None of the list of big-time characters here. Maybe re-sign a couple of your guys and then sit back and, not be a player for Bichette, not be a player for Bellinger, not be a player for Bregman, not be a Schwarber player. And I don't know that Bellinger coming back would really be a big deal. Now, pitching wise, Dylan Cease, obviously someone the Cubs are very interested in. Brandon Woodruff, he's a free agent. You know him from Milwaukee. Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, guys that I've heard mentioned with the Cubs. How about Edwin Diaz? What about going out there and signing him? Or Robert Suarez? So there's some guys that I think on the pitching side of things would be great fits for the Cubs as well. So we'll see. But my pick is Kyle Schwarber. I'd love to see him come home, and I think that the Cubs should be very serious, not only for what he would provide to the offense, but what he would provide to the marketing aspect of things. I mean, can you imagine the bang at Cubs convention if Schwarbs came back? You imagine selling tickets. People would want to see him. Hey, chicks dig the long ball. Isn't that what we found out with Greg Maddux and John Smoltz? Was it Maddux and Glavine on that commercial? He hits a lot of them, and it would be exciting to see those back at Wrigley again into the bleachers. All right, that's it for the show. I want to tell you this, too. Join Mick Nation, AveD. Stay connected with us. Use that QR code and be part of what we do on a daily basis. Hit the QR code and look, help us pick winners. We give away hats. We give away swag and money each week. So be a part of that at AveD, our interactive Web3 home. AveD Mick Nation. Comment section, crank it up, keep on going. Tell me what you think, and we'll be back tomorrow to do another show. Hey, also brought to you by the folks at the Great Smoky Mountains. Get a flight from O'Hare right into the Smokies and enjoy some mountain life for a little bit of a vacation. Right now is a great time to go there. The leaves are changing, beautiful in the mountains. And while you're there, maybe you'll run into a talking bear.
When you head to the Smoky Mountains, it's only natural to visit Sevierville.
Even we had to check it out.
And we've been here our whole lives.
Experience the adventure of a lifetime.
I'm king of the world.
Even you can get a bird's eye view of the Smokies.
You're going down, Billy. Whoa.
Your Smokies start here.